Hello, it's LaDonya here from Keep It Crafty with LaDonya. I thought I would come on today and show you how to make this box. It's quite a nice box. When you open it up, there's a panel that comes up lifting up whatever gift you've put in there. This was for my daughter's birthday. I've covered up what was written on there because that is for my daughter. And then there's another bit inside that was a message. But yes, you can put your gift on there, tie it on with your ribbon, and then as you lift the lid up it comes. And I thought that was a really good sort of different kind of box, definitely different kind of box. I'd used a magnet as a closure, and I thought I would show you today how to resize it for something smaller. So yes, this tutorial I originally got from Sam Calcott at Mixed Up Craft on YouTube, and she called hers the Lift and Reveal box, and it's not that far back in her history, but yes, Mixed Up Craft, Lift and Reveal box. She's got this size. She did a smaller one, I think, and she said during this tutorial that she was also going to do a larger one, but I've resized the one that I made already, that I resized. I've already sent out, so I can't show you that one, but I resized it for a little pot of glue. Somebody very kindly sent me some glue when I ran out, so when I restocked I made them a box and sent them one back as a thank you, because you've got to stay on good terms, haven't you? So yes, so that's what I did it for, and I used so I'll do the same again for this, and this measures 4.25 inches, so I'm going 4.5 inches long. I'm ignoring this measurement here because that is the narrow measurement and that's only 1 inch, but we need the wider measurement, and this is just over 1.25. So, but I'm going 1.75. We want to make sure we've got room for the inside layer and the ribbon, and obviously it all lifts out. But it does sit there quite nice and snug. Let me see if it holds the weight. It'll hold a pot of glue quite nicely without falling down. So yes, that's what we're going to do today. And I have chosen this DSP from Celebration. And so I've picked out the green. I'm going to use green card for it. So that is today's project. Now I worked out what we needed. We need 4.5 inch length and the 1.75 end. This end has to be square. I don't think it would work with a rectangle. So on the box we're making today, we're going to go 1.75 by 1.75 by 4.5. So there's my 4.5 panel. My 1.75 flaps either side. So we're going to score. Basically, just keep everything at 1.75. Let me show you. So I get my scoreboard out, and this piece here measures 7 inches by 8 inches. So I'm going to score along the 8-inch side at 1.75. And if we want to keep it simple, we just turn it round and do 1.75 again. On the 7-inch side, this will make up the bottom, top and the front and back. So 1.75, and then another 1.75, which takes us to 3.5, and then again, so that will be 5.25, and then that leaves us our 1.75 at the end there. So if we keep 1.75 in our head for this size box, we should be okay. So that's that one scored. Now I'm just going to move on to this piece. This measures slightly short of 8 inches. I've gone 7 15/16 of an inch here, and 3 7/16. Why have I gone 3 7/16? Yes, that's the wrong measurement. I've cut that wrong. Just let me cut that, because that should be just under, a tiny smidge under 3.5, and I've cut that to just under 4. So let me just cut that. There we go. It was a good job I checked that before we got started. So we're just a smidge under 3.5, because double 1 3/4 is 3.5. Reason being, this is going to be for the inside, and we want it to slide in and out without pushing the side parts out. So that's why we've just gone the tiniest bit under. So then if we score this at 1 3/4, bear in mind that this is 1 3/4, this is very slightly under. So we're just I'm gonna flip this over just for a second, and on this very slightly shorter piece, I'm gonna write base. So as we know which side is which. That's a full 1 3/4, that is not quite 1 3/4. I'm gonna turn it back to my score side again. So now we need to score again, 1 3/4. But this time we really should turn it round and do 1 3/4, because then the slight difference in length will be on this middle part where we want it. We don't want it on either end. So 1 3/4, turn it round, 1 3/4. So that's that piece done. And then we want this part here, which from here across the top and down there is another piece of card. This is really strong because it's got so many layers on it. So that's this piece here, and this measures 4.5 by 2 3/4, and again we want to score at 1 3/4. So that's all our scoring done. So now we can start getting ready to build the box. So if we fold and burnish all of our score lines, and the reason I turn this over to write on it is because it will sit like this, and then a piece of DSP will go over there, so we're not got to worry about rubbing it out. We'll just put DSP on the top to cover that writing up. So I did get one more piece of card out ready. Well, can you see my nail polish look? Oh dear. I've got this out. This was just a scrap in my scrap folder of this colour, and I thought that may be a good size for a belly band. So it's full A4. I've not cut it down yet or anything. We'll have a look at that when we get near to the end. So now we just want to snip up all these lines here. I'm actually going to use my bigger scissors. So if we just snip up all these score lines, just nice and straight. And I'm not going to wedge them until, if we need to snip anything off, we'll do that at the end, because it will just help us keep everything perfectly square. Providing we get nice straight cuts here, we won't have any problems with getting it square. So that's those cut. What do we need to cut here? So if we just cut these ones here, and for the moment that is all the cutting done. So if we start to build our box up, we're going to, this will be the front, so if we glue this on last, then we'll get a nice smooth corner there and we won't get a join. So I'm going to glue this bit here, and then we don't want these two flaps for the lid, so we can cut those off. Just try and keep it nice and straight. There we go. So this is the front and this is the lid. So if we glue this to this first, and then we'll glue this one last. So now with not snipping and wedging, that should all sit quite nicely together. And of course there's already 2 layers. Once we stick this one on, that'll be 3 layers. This box will be very strong So that's those two bits. Now if we stick the front, then if there's anything to snip off, then we can check that. Oh. So you can tell a difference already. These ends are really strong, and the lid will be as well. So that's that part finished for the moment. This is going to be our tray that lifts up. So we're going to stick those just like we have stuck those last ones there together. I'm going to stick like that. But first, before we get all messed up, I'm going to put the DSP on. This measures 1.5 by 4 1/4. I've took 1/4 of an inch off. So I'm going to stick that on there. And I really probably should have put the DSP on the box before I put the box together as well, but oops, we'll do that afterwards, never mind. And then this one here, but what I did on this one, if you see, the ribbon is not stuck. I've glued under here and I've glued under here, but left a gap there, so as if when she's finished with this box, she wanted to undo that ribbon and take it out. She can reuse it for something else then. So I don't have any green or black ribbon, so I've got my white one out, and I'm not sure how much we'll need. Well, this is sized for one of these, so let's see how much ribbon we would need for one of these. Roughly that. Okay. Oh, get my snips. Right. So I'm going to leave that ribbon there. Just weight it down. And then I'm going to glue either ends, and then that ribbon is free in the middle to move about if we want to. If there is, whoever the recipient is, if they want to keep it, they can take it out and reuse it. There we go. So just move that into the middle. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to tie that up just to try and keep it a little bit more out of the way. So now we're going to glue these sides together. I don't think it really matters whether you glue that one over that one or that one over that one. I don't really think it matters. So we'll pop the glue on here. And then stick that down. And then we're going to use a good strong scissors in a moment to cut this in an angle to cut that corner there off. I've not glued that very straight. As we're cutting it, it doesn't really matter. It could have been tidier, but it's stuck now. It doesn't take long to stick. So which one did I put the glue on? I put the glue on that one, didn't I? See if I can stick this one a bit straighter. That looks a little better. So just press that down. So again, we've got nice strong sides there. So we can take our big scissors and we can draw a line and cut along the line, or we can just cut from corner to corner, which is what I'm going to do. That's one off. and the other one. You can see there, look, I made a bit of a mess, but it's done now. So that's the tray. So now we can go ahead and we can stick this to the inside of the lid. We did take that 1/16 of an inch off, but because we've got double card at each end, it's still a snug fit, which is what we want. We want a snug fit. So we're just making sure that it goes, yes, it goes in. So I'm just going to glue across the back here. Oh. And it is, with all these layers, it is actually quite surprisingly strong. So give that a good press on there like that. And then, once we get that in there like that, that will go down and then come back up again. So let's pop the DSP on here. So we'll get this one stuck on before we stick it to the box. It's always easier to, or usually easier to stick the DSP on when it's flat. So in this one here, this is the front flap. So this was 1 inch deep. So I've cut this one to 3/4 wide. So it's 4.5 long. Is that correct? No, it's 4.25 long by 3/4 of an inch deep. But yes, the one I already made of this to hold the glue that I sent to my friends, I just put it in a jiffy bag. It was a big jiffy bag, so I wrapped it round. But yes, it got there in one piece. So it got through the postal system well. I was quite pleased with, very pleased with that, in fact. So we're just gonna, so there's the lid, and we're just gonna stick that to the top, just like that. We give it a good press down, and then we'll lift it up and we'll press it again from the other side. So now we're getting a super strong lid as well. So we've got super strong sides. These are strong. This is strong. It is a very good little box. I mean, you could make it smaller again for lipstick or mascara, or if you're giving anything like that to somebody. A nail polish maybe. But yes, whatever your widest measurement is, not the length, whatever your widest measurement is here, either this one or this one, use that as your guide for the square on the ends, because that's what size that will need to be. So let's stick the rest of the DSP on. So I've got a 1.5 inch square piece for each end. Now I keep forgetting the name of this DSP. It's from Celebration. I think it's Field and Flower. Flower and Field. Let me look. I've got it just here. Flower and Field from the current Celebration. And it wouldn't have been my first choice with it on a black background, but it's actually really pretty. Once you get it out of the pack, it's really pretty. And this one has got the yellow and the blue and the green in it as well. So very nice. So that's that one done. We'll put one on the back. There we go, and then one on the front. And I did cut a strip for the inside of this flap as well, so we'll pop that one on as well in a moment. But I quite like this on the green card. I think this is Granny Apple Green. I think this looks really nice. And of course you could strengthen this even more by just adding a piece of card in there. I was going to put that on, wasn't we? Oh, there we go. Got a little spot of glue on my finger. And that's the box itself made. So close it down, lift up. I think that is really, really cool. So let's see if this one holds the glue like the last one did. Let's lift it up to the top. I'm not sure whether it might just fall down. Oh no, it holds it. Excellent. So we'll sit there with your gift revealed, and depending on how heavy it is, and it will hold it up. That is fantastic. So this one I used a magnet. You can hear that, I think. But this one I'm going to use a belly band. So I'm happy with the width of that. Like I say, this was just a scrap I got out of my scrap packet. So I'm gonna, let's start at the bottom. So I'm just going to bend it around. Don't want to go too tight because we want to be able to move it, and we want to be able to line that up as well. So I'm going to cut that just there, and then I'm going to stick that one over the top. In fact, that's going to sit at the top because then the, where has it gone? Here it is. This topper that I've got will cover up the seam. So now that we've got our folds, just going to lay it, make sure it's all lined up, and then burnish those folds. And then we will get nice straight folds. Just line it up, give it a burnish. There we go. So pop that in, and then we'll stick that down. Oh. So we'll just give it a few seconds to tack, and then we need to make sure that it's movable. And it's slightly tight, so we'll just loosen it off very slightly. Obviously we need to be able to move it. There we go. You'd be able to move it on and off. There we go. So, and then this one, hopefully this will look nice on there. Yep, I think that will be fine. So I've used, where'd it go? I've used this set here, the stitched nested labels dies, and I've used not the very smallest ones, but the next size is up. So if the smallest one is number 1, I've used 2, 3 and 4. Number 4 for the cardstock for some strength, number 3 for some prettiness, and number 2 for the sentiment. And the sentiment, I've used the Hello there from Sweet Strawberry. So if we just pop a little bit of glue on those. And if we try and line the points up at either end, then we should be okay. There's one. And then the top one. Oh, and I stamped the sentiment in Granny Apple Green too. So then that will sit there. I think if we try and line that up so as it's central on the DSP, that might make it look a bit nicer. So it's almost exactly the same width as the DSP, so that's good. So I'm just going to put some glue in the middle, because obviously we don't want it on either end because it overhangs. Yep, I've not gone too far across. So, and then line it up with the DSP as much as we can. Oh, and then it's moved. Hold it in place. And then we're almost done. There we go. And then, so let's take it off and lift it up. There we go. And I'm really pleased with that. I really like that. So, and this perfectly fits a tombow. Tie that with the ribbon. Oh, this is what I'm using, so I'm not going to tie this in, and I don't have any more. So, yeah, perfectly fits a tombow. That, I'm really liking that. But yes, my original idea, it wasn't my idea at all. Please don't get me wrong. The original box that I did, this one, I followed Sam Calcott on Mixed Up Craft, and she calls hers a lift and reveal box. Definitely worth checking out. So let me try and pop this back on. I think my fingers have just gone all shaky. There we go. So I hope you like my box, and I hope you give it a try. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.